guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing the 2023 edition of the classic Doctor Who serial, The Daleks, in its 75-minute movie edit length and colorized for the first time. I find it to be a mixed bag pretty much across everything. The colorization looks good in some parts, not so good in others. The Daleks tend to look really good, although sometimes they have this weird purple tint to them. But overall, they look really good. The Dalek city looks off at first. Like, you expect it to be this kind of monochrome gray, like the original production pictures show, because they're the Daleks. They probably wouldn't use any color. That just wouldn't compute for them. Now, once you adjust to most of the scenes, it's not so bad. Like, it didn't really bother me in the Dalek city. Usually by the end of it, in the interior parts of the city. There are some shots when the Daleks are kind of in their master control room that look straight out of Peter Cushing's The Daleks, with all of the different colors going on the knobs and stuff. It looks a little weird for the Daleks to have that if you look at it canonically, but just from it was made in the 60s, let's make it look like it was made in the 60s standpoint, it's fine. So I'm kind of two minds on that. Now, these shots it shows of the Dalek city, like just when you see the city far away, tend to look really good with that red sky. I like that they went with that red sky for Skaro. That's gorgeous. So when you actually see like the model shots of the city, those look really good. Some of those look like new shots too, like the way when it does this tracking motion sometimes. They look like newer shots put in, but the older ones colorized look really good on that. As for the people, I don't know, the skin tone looks a little weird sometimes, kind of like the Mind of Evil, where you can tell it's just artificially done. It doesn't look bad. It looks fine, but it doesn't really jump out either. Clothes look fine if over a little saturated, like especially Barbara's very, very pink blouse, shirt, whatever. It's very pink. I have to give props, too, in the scene at the beginning when she's exploring the city and you can see her reflection off the walls, the metallic walls. The fact they had to not only colorize her very pink blouse, but they also had to colorize its very pink reflection on the metallic parts. I remember being really impressed with that and figuring that had to be really hard to do. But it looked really, really good. The forest at the beginning, I don't like that colorized. For some reason, with it being basically fossilized because of nuclear fallout, I think the grays and black and whites really suit it. Like all the life's been sapped out of it. I really think that looks better in black and white. Though when they're in the little bog swamp, when the one Thal gets killed toward the end, that looks really good in color. I feel like everything going on in the bog swamp there looks really good in color. So it's a mixed bag for me, the colorization. The edit, I'm going to be honest, it still drags for me sometimes. There's a part during my reaction video, because I do have an actual reaction video up on my Patreon that's available to all of my patrons, every tier level, even the entry $2 tier level. It's available for whoever wants to watch it there at any tier level. If you're interested in seeing my full, uncut, hour and 15-minute long reaction to it, it's there if you want to become a patron and see it. There are times where you see me kind of getting bored, and there's actually one point where I'm just looking at the camera going, because it still kind of drags. Then there's the part where it does the like memory cuts, like the flashbacks, and it does like the recap cuts where it shows flashbacks. That's unnecessary. It's different from like a Classic Who episode where you're doing the bit at the beginning. That's the kind of the recall of the cliffhanger, the reprisal or whatever it is. This is like flashing back to something we've seen watching this. One time it does it like, I think it's when the Daleks ambush the Thals, and then it shows a flashback of it like 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later. I'm like, we just saw that. You don't have to refresh me on that. I mean, do the people making this think that like 15 or 20-year-olds have an attention span of less than 2 minutes? So those little flashbacks were a little bothersome. Now I really enjoyed it at the end though. Everything really comes together at the end. The editing, it does these kind of jump cuts that work for me. They won't be for everybody, but they work for me. Because the Daleks is so long, and my biggest complaint about the Daleks has always been its length. It's very boring because of its length. 7 parts is too long. It just drags. Everything really picks up there. Like, it's cutting between what's going on with Ian down in the caves, what's going on with Susan and the doctor in the city, what's going on with Barbara, whatever it is she's doing at the time. It's got, oh, I think she's with Ian in the cave, isn't she? And I feel like there's another group, the other group of Thals who are waiting, you know, reflecting the light. It's kind of intercutting with all of that while important stuff is happening. I really like that. It really moves at a sharp clip. And I'd say the last 15 to 20 minutes of it maybe really move at a good clip. I liked it. I started getting into it. My favorite part of the movie was absolutely the ending of it. I like how sometimes we get clips of what's happening because the Daleks are watching them on their little screens, their little computer screens. The Daleks are watching them on that, and that gives us a brief bit of information without having it done as separate scenes. That feels like that gets us the information we need to know without it being tedious. I love the updated laser effects for the Daleks to make them look more like later Classic Who effects, like Genesis effects or 80s Daleks effects. We actually have the green blast. I love that. And when it hits something, a wall or a person, the flash of green we get, I absolutely love that. Love that. Kudos to whoever came up with that. That looks really, really good. There's a couple other updated shots I saw. Again, the TARDIS material with the pan down to the TARDIS materializing, and that is really cool. I like the intro in color with all the multicolors. That looks nice. I love the fade in black and white and how it transitions in the color. That looks really good. The music is a mixed bag. There are times where the music does not fit what's going on screen. There are times where the music is fine or even good, but it doesn't fit what's happening on screen. The part where Ian is inside the Dalek and they're making their little dash escape is completely off though. I was really put off by the music there. I don't know what it is. The music does not fit that. I didn't like the music. It doesn't fit that. Also, that felt a little choppy. The editing there with the escape felt a little montagey, which, I mean, there's a couple parts that are a little montagey, but normally I'm good with it. Here, it was just really rough, really, really rough. The music when Barbara first sees the Dalek and screams is really good. There's like a heartbeat getting louder, boom, 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 as the tension mounts. When she sees the Dalek, that's pretty good. It's very different from the original version. It definitely has a different reaction to it because that's such an iconic moment. But it was still good. Now, the bit not much later when the Doctor and Ian and Susan first walk out and they see the Daleks for the first time and Doctor's holding Susan, the music there is really weird. Doesn't really fit what's going on there, in my opinion. Didn't really care for that. Also, the colorization right before that, when the Doctor was in the room, right when they find out about the radiation poisoning and the Doctor admits lying about the fluid link, the colorization looks weird. Like their skin looks very purplish right there. The colors, that's easily the weakest part of the colorization for me, is in that one little scene. But sometimes the music is good. Sometimes it's a bit more subtle. Now, the music always seems a little not mixed properly in the sense that, like, the dialogue volume is here and the music volume is a little higher. Kind of like in the modern series sometimes where you struggle to hear what they're saying. Like, I'm never struggling to hear what they're saying, but the music sometimes feels a little overly loud, like it needed to be dropped down a level or two. But sometimes it is subtle in the sense of what the music is doing, and it builds a little tension, it builds a little atmosphere. It does that well. Other times it's nice and epic, like kind of almost Murray Gold epic in places. And I know it's Mark doing the music in this, and Mark is great. But there are other times I absolutely loved the music in this, especially again toward the end. I really loved the last 15 to 20 minutes, I'd say, when everything's kind of coming to a head. It's a combination of everything. One, the music there is quite phenomenal. I think there was one spot in the caves I didn't like the music, but then it quickly transitioned to something I really liked. It just all seemed to come together there. The The colorization was looking good. The editing was really on point to keep everything moving at a brisk pace. I really like how tight the pace was with the jump cuts. I mentioned that a lot in my reaction review. I was loving the jump cuts between the three groups, between the Doctor's group, between Ian's group, and between the Thals outside about to invade Ian. It kept jumping between them at critical moments, and I really liked that. And the music was perfect. Well, I don't know about perfect, but the music was really, really, really good right there. Everything came together well, and I enjoyed it. The ending was a little brisk, but it got the job done. And then I liked the little montage about "And the Adventure Continues," where we get all of these other clips from other stories in color. It was nice to see little clips of these other stories in color, varying qualities of color. Some of the colorizations looked a little rough, like Web Planet. Some of them looked really good, like the Dalek Invasion of Earth. And the Toy Maker, that Toy Maker animation looked really good. Like, I wonder if they might have use for a clip from the Toy Maker, maybe. Perhaps in, like, the Giggle or something. Maybe we'll get a little flashback glimpse of that from the Giggle. Wouldn't that be really nice? That would make sense to make your last move, Doctor. Make your very last move. I love that. So I enjoyed seeing that little montage, and then right at the end, that bit from the 10th Planet with him on the ground and the last shot being that of Troughton. It was a really nice way to end that. So, my overall thoughts. This could be my preferred version of it, to be honest. Some parts of it work better in black and white. Like, I wish I had this edited version with the new everything, but in black and white, which I'm sure I could adjust my settings on the TV. That's what the Steelbook needs to come with. The original 7 episodes, this colorized cut down, and then a black and white cut down like this. I would love to be able to watch this version, the 75-minute updated effects, new sound, in black and white and see what I thought of it. I'd probably like that. Some of the scenes do work better in color. Some of the scenes do work better in black and white. There's a certain, they have a very different feel to them, much like I love the Macroterra animation in black and white and in color, but they have different feels to them. This is kind of the same. But I will admit, this is a lot more fun to get through, this new version, because, again, the Daleks just drags. And the fact you can cut 100 minutes out of 175 minutes, and make it work is just, to me, proof that the Daleks was over-bloated and needed to be trimmed down. I like the updated soundtrack for the most part. It's hit or miss, but for the most part, I enjoy it. And you gotta love that updated Dalek laser effects. I love updated. You guys know Prowl loves him some updated laser effects. And the fact they make it look more like classic Dalek laser effects. Very Day of the Dalek style. Also, I don't think I pointed out, the Dalek voices sound better. Now, I know, because I read that they actually got one of the original Dalek operators. I can't remember his name, but he is a springly 98 years old to come back and record some Dalek dialogue for this. Now, I don't know how much of it has been re-recorded and how much of it's the original. Like, to me, it sounds almost all re-recorded. But my memory, I don't watch the Daleks very often. Again, it drags. But the dialogue, the Dalek voices sound phenomenally good here. Now, I usually don't think that about the Daleks. Like, I don't remember them saying exterminate in this one. I remember one time them saying, someone is scheduled for extermination. But I don't remember them using the catchphrase exterminate. And that is used a few times in this. So I figured that might be new, just to make them more in line with the Daleks we're more familiar with. The Dalek voice overall is phenomenal. I tend to love, like, classic Dalek voices, the good ones better, like Powers, Evils, Genesis. The updated version of Day is a really good with Nicholas Briggs on the analog equipment is really, really good. I tend to like that more than the modern ones for some reason. I just do. Nicholas did his for Day on analog equipment instead of digital to kind of give it that classic sound. So I really enjoy the Dalek voices in this story a lot. Again, as someone whose memory is and who very seldom watches the Daleks, I can't tell you everything that's new and everything that's not. But I went from getting bored in the story, watching the new version, and kind of like to by the end of it enjoying it, because I did enjoy the ending a lot. It's a really tight ending. I really enjoyed that, to make it more rewatchable for me. So I can say it was a mixed bag, but overall I enjoyed it. As for the Steelbook, will I get the Steelbook? I had been going to pass on it. Now I'm not sure. I think it's going to boil down to the artwork. If the Steelbook for this, for the new version of the Daleks in color, if it has nice art on it, I may pick it up, because I love Steelbooks. I love Doctor Who Steelbooks. They're just a passion of mine. As long as the art looks good, I like them. I mean, I even have the Flux one, and I don't really like Flux, but I have the Flux one because I like the art. Alice is a great artist. So that's probably what I'm going to boil down to. I don't know if I need it, and I don't know if I want to fall down the rabbit hole of getting the Steelbooks for all of these colorized versions they're going to do, because it seems like an expensive rabbit hole. And I don't know if I need to own this, but that's going to be my line in the sand. If the Steelbook looks good, I'll probably get it. If the Steelbook doesn't impress me, I'll probably pass on it. So I want to know what you think of the Daleks in color, the new version, the new 2023 version. Comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down in the description below. And if you would like to see the actual hour and 15-minute long uncut reaction, my reaction to the Daleks, that is there, available for all tier levels, so check that out. YouTube memberships are available as well. I would love to upload that reaction for them, but YouTube will flag it in a heartbeat, I already know. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. Links to my Amazon wish list are down there as well. Hey, Christmas is coming, folks. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I certainly appreciate their continued support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a difference. And most importantly, thank you for watching.